Welcome back to IAS Net Study. And this is a current affairs series where we are going to integrate current affairs with your static part. Static part is the syllabus, UPSC GS paper 4 syllabus, and we are going to integrate those concepts which are mentioned in your syllabus with the current affairs, with the dynamic part. So combination of static and the dynamic aspect, so that you would get a broader understanding of these concepts, and it will be helpful. It will be a lot. Uh, it it is going to act as a guiding factor for your examination, and it is going to help you to understand these topics. So let's start the discussion, and here in this video we are going to discuss the current affairs from May 11th to May 18th, right? So let's get into the discussion of this. The first article, it is regarding a particular scheme. The name of the scheme is aftercare scheme. uh, this scheme is by Delhi government, CM Rekha Gupta. She has in this article. This article is talking about this particular scheme, and Chief Minister, she has unveiled the scheme. This is the news article. Up to the age of 18, the state, it has that responsibility, especially the children with no support, no family support. Government is going to take care of these children through the orphanage or through various scholarship. Through these kind of setups, government is supporting these children. Now, till the age of 18, they are considered children, and there is an institutional support till the age of 18. But what about those children or adolescents who have crossed this teenage, who have crossed this 18 years of age? Now, it is a question mark. It is because these uh, adolescents, especially they've crossed 18, they are on their own. See, to get a job or to complete your education, minimum it takes around 20 to 21 years. So at the age of 18, legally they are matured, they have the voting power, everything is fine. But at the social level, they still are dependent because education is still going on. They don't have necessary skills, so they need some kind of support. Now government, the Delhi government has taken a decision that they analyze that yes, these kids also need government support. These kids also need the care based institutional support. Now they've taken a decision to come up, they taken a decision to support these kids. Now that for that reason, aftercare scheme, it means that institutional support, institutional care going to be given to those youths who have crossed the age 18. This is the scheme. Now let's see the ethical values or ethical aspects of this particular scheme. Now, what are the values or what are the ethical aspects we can see? The first and foremost, it is compassion and empathy. Till the age of 18, yes, there is an institutional support. But at the age of 18, I told you that it is impossible, because it is impossible to get a necessary financial support through the employment, because you don't have a necessary skill. You have not completed, because at the age of 18, it is impossible to get graduated also. So you need some kind of support. Now government has understood this, and there is a factor of compassion, there is a factor of empathy. So it recognizes struggles faced by children leaving institutional care. So what are the ethical aspects we can see? Compassion and empathy. And it also talks about social justice. Social justice is that, especially for those children, uh, for me, you, we have a family, and there is a family support, there is a financial support, there is a psychological support, there is a sense of security. So this sense of security, it pushes us to achieve something, or there is a guiding factor for us. But what about these children where there is no family support, where there is no financial support? It is a responsibility of a state. So government taking this step, it is nothing but social justice. So it ensure these vulnerable youth to have that equal opportunity. Whatever me and you we receive at that point of time, let these youth also receive the same thing. So it talks about social justice, and it talks about human dignity. Because see, at the age of 18, neither you have any this kind of sense of security, then it is going to impact your independence, it is going to impact your self-respect. In turn, this is going to impact your dignity, human dignity. So these kind of schemes, after care scheme, these kind of schemes, it is going to ensure your dignity is respected, and we understand through this compassion and empathy, the steps they take, they are going to ensure the respect for the human dignity. Then another ethical value is the responsibility. It is a responsibility of a society, it is a responsibility of a state to give some kind of support, or to be to provide some kind of security to these people. So it is a moral responsibility and social responsibility towards child protection and the development, and this responsibility, moral responsibility and ethical responsibility, it is visible in this. Then you are not only restricting institutional care to the children below 18 years, you are extending it to the youth, vulnerable youth also. What exactly this talks about, what exactly this shows? This talks about inclusiveness. This talks about, yes, we have to expand our area of compassion, we have to expand our area of value called care. So it talks about inclusiveness also. Here it integrates disadvantaged youths into the mainstream society. And then the next value is empowerment. Empowerment is that you give an opportunity through the education, or through the skill development, or through some kind of occasional trainings. Any of these support will be given. Through this, you are empowering a vulnerable section, you are empowering youth who are very vulnerable. And this age, adolescent age, it is also extreme, it has to be handled with care. Since there is no family support, since there is no psychological support, the energy of these youth can be diverted to antisocial or something, uh, which is not good for a society on the whole. By taking this step through the this kind of scheme, you are empowering these kids. So through the skill development, through the higher education, so you are promoting values of self-reliance, you are promoting value of confidence. So these are some of the ethical aspects or ethical values we observe in this aftercare scheme. So this is what this news article is talking about. See, the news article is talking about this particular scheme, but now we are analyzing what are we deriving out of, right? So you can give this example also in your answers, wherever it is needed. Not that unnecessarily writing these kind of examples, it is not. You can use where exactly I can use it. Responsibility of a state, or the moral responsibility or the social responsibility, where you give these kind of initiations by government. Let's move to the next article. The next article here, NCW, National Commission of Women, flags toxic work culture and zero posh compliance at TCS office. See, the news article, it is with respect to the new love jihad. It was continuously coming in the news for 1 or 2 weeks in the television also, and even in the social media. This was in the news. The TCS love jihad, this news. Now, this news article here, National Commission for Women, they're talking about toxic work culture in TCS. Now, the thing is, work culture, it is mentioned in your syllabus. This is one among the components of your syllabus. Work culture is there. I think ethics in public administration, maybe 7th or 6th unit, it has been mentioned. So now what we are going to do is, we are going to focus on this particular aspects, work culture, and what are the values required for ethical work culture. This is what we are going to focus. We are not going to involve in all these the minute details of TCS company and who are all involved in it, how exactly the law and order it is handling. It is not at all required here, since it has been mentioned, it has been told by NCW. So we are going to focus on work. So, so values needed for good work culture. What are the values? First and foremost, respect. Respect within employees in an organization, maybe any organization, maybe 100 people they are working, and the respect between employees. This is important, and respect from employees and employer, between employees and employer, and respect from employer to employee, and respect from the organization to the citizens also, so to the social society also. So these kind of different dimensions can be seen for the aspect of respect. Now, very precisely, if I have to tell, respect for the colleagues, respect for diversity, respect for ideas, respect for individual dignity also. So the first and foremost value which is necessary for a good work culture is respect. Then comes a teamwork. Obviously, in an organization or an institution, it is group of people, number of people. So if the organization has to function smoothly, the cooperation is very important, mutual support is very much important. You have to respect and you have to accept the other point of view. So it shows that you need to be in good terms with other person. So the teamwork, it is a teamwork, it's nothing but win-win situation. both uh, individual me and as a me as a part of organization culture and me as an employee, I am giving my 100%. I am here ultimately to fulfill the organization goal. So the aspect of teamwork, it has to be there. So it has to be there in the psyche of the people who are working in the organization. So teamwork, and there should be a necessary setup to support the positive teamwork culture. So second value is the teamwork, and third is professionalism. Professionalism, you need to have a dedication, you need to have a commitment to the work you're doing. And this professionalism involves discipline, punctuality, competence, and ethical conduct. Yes, there should be a competence. This competence is also ethical competence, and the conduct, the way you conduct yourself in an organization, that is also should be ethical. So this professionalism, it is another value which is required for good work. And then come trust, and trust between management and the employees, between employees and employees, between customers and the company, between employers and the state. So again, trust, it has also different dimensions, right? Respect, teamwork, professionalism, trust, and then commitment and dedication. Commitment, the extended version of commitment is dedication. And to what you're committed and to what you're dedicated towards the organization. See, if I am committed for my personal upliftment, this is not considered as a value under work culture. For a work culture, if there are 1000 people who are working in an organization, and everybody, ultimately there is an organizational goal, and your individual goal should align with organizational goal. That alignment should be there. The commitment, your commitment should be with respect to goal of an organization, goal of an institution, right? Commitment and dedication. Then innovation and openness. Innovation is also very much important, because in order to have a growth, in order to have a ethical competence, you need to come up with a creativity, you need to support creativity, and you need to support this innovation. So encouraging creativity and accepting new ideas, respecting new ideas, inculcating new ideas, these steps are extremely important for innovation and openness. And this is also another very much important values which is needed for good work culture. Initially, this innovation and openness, this was mainly focused in a private organization. Most of the public organization, there is a question mark for innovation, creativity, and openness. But now it is changing. Even public administration is also focusing on innovation. It is also focusing on openness. Then comes work-life balance. So ethics in private administration, ethics in public administration, you have studied in the first unit. That also talks about there should be a balance, because see, whatever the values in your private life, this is going to impact your public life also. So there is no watertight compartment between value system of your public life and private life. Whatever the value system you have in your private life, it is eventually it is going to impact your public life also. So the work life balance is extremely important to understand your value and inculcate those values in your work. And it is very much important for your personal well-being and well-being of an organization. Then comes discipline. Disciplines, even under the professionalism, we talked about discipline, punctuality, all these things. And discipline, it is not that complete subordination. It is not that complete acceptance of your hierarchy. No, it is adherence to rules, adherence to ethical standard. But at the same time, it talks about ethical courage also. It talks about fortitude, talks about ethical courage. And there was a question on this very precisely discipline. Is it too much discipline? Is it good for an organization? Somewhere this kind of question was asked in the UPSC also. So discipline is another value which is needed for good work culture, right? So these are some of the values which are needed for good work: respect, teamwork, professionalism, trust, commitment, dedication, innovativeness, openness, work-life balance, and finally discipline. Right? Let's move to the next news article. The next news article, this is an editorial. And editorial, if you look at the heading, managing coexistence in human wildlife conflicts. So human wildlife conflict, this news article is talking about, editorial is talking about, right? Now, what are we going to focus here in this article? Here, the human wildlife conflicts. Let's focus on human wildlife conflicts. And see, I'm not going to focus on the content of any of these news articles. It is not even required from ethical perspective. All you have to do is you need to be aware of news, and you need to extract the ethical values, and you can connect with the topics that are mentioned in your syllabus. So again, here also we are doing the same thing. Article is talking about human wildlife conflicts. Now let's connect with the paper flow. And here human wildlife conflict it is happening. Now how do you handle it? So what are the ethical solution for these kind of conflicts? And this is very much needed for your case. Especially you have to give the solution at the end, way forward, something like there you can use this as a fodder for. So what are the ethical solutions for human wildlife conflict? The first and foremost, compassion and empathy. It is very much needed. See why conflict is happening. Either you're not compatible with other creatures, or you have some sense of superiority. That is the reason you are exercising your superiority over other creation. So when you have a compassion for every living beings, every creation, then there will be respect, there will be acceptance factor. So first and foremost ethical solution which is needed for these kind of conflict is compassion and empathy. This is one thing. And then focus on sustainable development. Sustainable development is that yes, we all need economic development, but make sure that this development, whatever the development we are having at this point of time, this is not going to impact the future generation. So sustainable development, it uses resources for present use, and it also considers these resources for the future generation also. So focus on first sustainable development. This is another ethical solution. Then there is a conflict, human wildlife conflict. How do you handle it? There are different ways of handling, and the one way you need to avoid is the violent conflict management. So you need to focus on non-violent conflict management. This is the third thing. And the fourth thing is focus on ecological justice. Ecological justice is that justice, it is not restricted to only to human beings. It is beyond that. Here even animals they have rights, even the vegetation they have rights, forests they have rights. So you recognize the rights of animals. Animals they have the right to survival. So if the conflict is happening, it is not that animals are intentionally they are coming into the populated zone. It is not that. They have the right to survival. They have certain habitat, uh, some recognition. So you need to recognize these animals, that they also have a right to survival. They also have a right to habitat. This is ecological justice, and you need to integrate ecological justice in your policy making. Then it becomes ethical policy making. So focus on ethical policy making at governance level, right? Then cooperative governance, ethical governance, cooperative governance. Cooperative governance, it means that you are in a place where you are ready to accept, you are ready to give space for other concerns also. So that is cooperative governance. And here in this cooperative governance, you're accommodating the demands of wildlife also. So by accommodating, you can eliminate these kind of conflicts, right? Then intergenerational equity, it means that you are using resources at the same time, the same concept of sustainable development. Here it talks about value of fairness, it talks about value of justice, because you are thinking about future generation also. So another ethical solution is intergenerational equity, which focus on principle of fairness, which focus on principle of justice. Then comes responsibility. Responsibility, it is responsibility of a state, responsibility of a society, and even individual responsibility of a state, responsibility of a society, and even individual responsibility. We all have our responsibility, our accountability towards ecosystem, towards wildlife. Wildlife is a part of ecosystem. So our responsibility, we should ensure that we fulfill our responsibility also. Then respect for the nature. The respect, it is a value of care, value of respect, value of acceptance. Then comes inclusiveness. It means that we all part of one earth. Animals, plants, human beings, rivers, everything is a part of this mother earth. So inclusiveness. So these are some of the ethical solutions. Focus on these ethical solutions to handle these kind of human wildlife. So in case studies, you can use this as a fodder material, and you can write it at the end as a way forward. Or if the question itself, most of the question they ask about what is the solution to it, how do you deal with it. So there you can mention these points in your answers, right? So let's move to the next topic. The next article, it is talking about just war theory. Again, this is also editorial. Here in this article they are talking about Israel Palestine, they're talking about Russia Ukraine, they're talking about Iran, Middle East, USA conflict, and they also mentioned that South Asian conflicts once in a while that flare up. So what author is trying to say is, just war theory, it is very much important, it is very much necessary to avoid any kinds of extreme in the present. So I'm not going to talk about news article contents of this editorial, but since just war theory is mentioned in your it is mentioned in this article, and very detailed analysis also being given, and it is also very important topic for your examination also, because medieval thinkers, they very predominantly they talk about just war theory. And even if you go through my videos about the thinkers, I focus on this particular topic in detail. Actually, just war theory is very important topic for your examination, because one thing you need to understand this, and this comes in handy for your case studies also to give solutions. Because you know, if you understand it properly, then only you can give it as a solution in a very intelligent way. So understanding it is very much important, and also use it in a proper way to enhance or give some weightage to your answer. So just war theory connect with the medieval thinkers. What exactly the just war theory? Just war theory, it gives a ethical framework. It gives that ethical framework, and it says that if war is happening, then how can you morally justify the war? And if there is a war, what is the right way to uh, deal with the war, or to be a part of war? How do you deal with it? What is the right way? So it gives that ethical framework towards the war. Now this theory, I told you that the medieval thinkers mainly, it is based on a theology and Christian theology at that point of time. And the predominant thinkers, they supported this just war theory, it is Saint Augustine and Thomas Aquinas, right? So what are the components of this just war theory? What exactly it is talking about? The war, the first and foremost aspect of just war theory is just cause. The war is happening, there are some unavoidable uh, circumstances. Now if you are involved in the war, either it has to be for your self defense. You are not aggressor here, you are not you're not trying to occupy someone else's land, you're not trying to destabilize some other country. It is not that. You are going to the war, the reason is you want to protect yourself. Self defense, protection of innocent people, you want to protect innocent people of your country, and some aggressor is attacking you, and you want to protect these people, and you want to protect yourself. So on the whole, I am going to the war for the self defense, I am not the aggressor. But if I don't enter to the war, if I don't go into the war, innocent people are going to die. The first and foremost aspect is that just cause. So cause, the reason should be just it, I mean to say that justice. So it has to be just reason. So you have to go to the right reasons. Just cause. And then legitimate authority. War has to be called by a legitimate authority. As an example, Indian government should declare the war. It is not state governments, it is not some fringe groups within the country. No, it is not. It is government of India should declare the war. So war should always be declared by legitimate authority. Then, and if you are entering into the war, it has to be right intention. What is the intention? It is not to conquer the land, it is not to destabilize another country, it is not to destroy the civilization. Ultimate objective of this war is peace and justice. Again, war and peace, it's opposite. But you are going to the war, objective is peace, objective is justice. Objective is not money, objective is not power, objective is not to ensure your hegemony. That is not the objective. Intention is to peace. Intention is to have a justice. And it is not about the revenge, it is not about the hatred, it is not about the aggression, it is not about the expansion. So the right intention. And then comes, you are entering to the war as a last resort, you don't have any other option. So we try to talk to the other country, they're not listening. We try to help them financially, it is not working. Some kind of sanctions we try to put, it is not working. And multilateral various forums, they try to convince the country, it is not possible. Now this is the last resort. So as a last resort, all the peaceful methods have been exhausted, and finally as a last resort, we are entering into the war. So this is another important aspect. I am entering into the war. Just I'm a prime minister of this country. I've taken a decision to go to the war with another country just because I've tried everything. Other country is not listening to me. Now I have no other option. This is the last resort. This is the another component. Then come probability of success. See, if I am entering into the war, then I should be aware what is the probability of success. See, if I know that I am going to fail and still I want to fight in the war just for my ego issues, just for my prejudice, this is not considered just war. See, I know that my army is weak, my armed forces are not up to the mark. If I go war against USA, then their comparatively their technology is better and number of personnel it's better. Everything I have the comparison, and there is a geographical advantage also. On top of it, if I still go war with USA and I know that this is going to damage my economy and people are going to die and it's going to damage my country to a very large extent, still if I get into the war, this is not considered as a just war theory. It is just I am pushing my countrymen and my armed forces for the destruction. I know that they are going to die. I know that I'm not going to win. Ultimately, this is going to cause deaths of thousands of people, but still I am pushing. This goes against the just war theory. So war should not cause meaningless destruction. This is another component. And finally, proportionality. The US is a very big country and it is going on a war with a very small island country. Their population itself is 1 lakh or 2 lakh population. This is not considered as a proportionality. Or you're using a nuclear weapons, nuclear atom bombs on these kind of small settlements. Again, this is not considered ethical. This is not considered moral, and this is not proportionate. You use it with countries both are in same line, not with these kind of small countries. So proportionality is another aspect, another component that should be considered for just war theory. So these are some of the components you need to keep in mind whenever you go to war with other countries. So what are the components here? Just cause, to do it for right reasons. It has to be called by legitimate authority. Intentions, right intentions, ethical intentions, and it is last resort. You don't have any other option. Then only you get into the war, and only get into the war if the probability of success is in your favor, or else this is going to cause destruction and there is no meaning to it. And finally, proportionality aspect has to be respect. So these are some of the components of just war theory, right? Let's move to the next topic. The next news article: India's labor market shows gains but challenges persist. See, this article is talking about labors and what are the challenges Indian labor market faces, all these things. But let us focus on labor ethics. This labor ethics, it is important from a perspective of applied ethics. Applied ethics, in the first chapter you have applied ethics. There you can link to this, and also for the case studies also, whatever the values I mentioned for labor ethics, you can use it in your conclusion also. So labor ethics, and again, there is no discussion of this news article, but we are going to connect this article to the paper. Let's see what are the labor ethics. Usually general labor ethics is that the principles, sorry, ethical principles and moral principles, moral values that guide the treatment of workers and workplace relations. So this is a framework, ethical framework, and this framework constitutes moral principles, ethical values, and these ethical values and moral principles are the guiding factor regarding how exactly you treat the workers and how exactly the workplace relations are. Right? This is labor ethics. So what are the values under the labor ethics? The first and foremost is that dignity of labor. So individual dignity, there should be a respect for every individual person. This ensures the dignity of labor. At the same time, no compromise with the human rights also. uh, if I am employer, if there is a 1000 people working in an organization, then it is my responsibility to protect the human rights, human values there. Human rights in general, with respect to labor ethics, make sure that there is no forced labor and there is no child labor. So freedom from forced labor and freedom from the child labor, and there should be equality and non-discrimination. There should not be any gender-based discrimination. Even if you look at the well-developed Western civilization of Western countries, Western economies, there also some level of gender-based discrimination it is prevalent. Race-based discrimination, so many news articles, so many social experiments have been conducted, and they've come to the conclusion that yes, gender-based discrimination is still is there, and yes, race-based discrimination is still it is prevalent. And if you look it from an Indian perspective, caste-based discrimination, religion-based discrimination, geographical location-based discrimination, race-based discrimination, language-based discrimination, even though this is not widely visible, but it is still there. So if the discrimination is there, if there is inequality, this goes against the labor. So this is another value we need to keep in mind: equality and non-discrimination. Then comes safe working conditions, because the protection of workers' health, protection of workers' safety, it is very much important. And one among the important labor ethics is providing safe working conditions. This providing safe working condition is nothing but you are ensuring the value of care. So here, labor ethics, another important value is the care. Then comes compassion and empathy. The extended version of this care is compassion and empathy, where you focus on humane treatment of laborers. Right. Then comes inclusiveness. Inclusiveness, it means that you opportunities are not restricted to very few set of people. It is not that opportunities, you have that opportunities for vulnerable section, you have opportunities for marginalized groups also. So these are some of the labor ethics, the values that are required for a labor market. Right. This is labor ethics. Let's move to the next article. The next article is regarding drug addiction. And if you look at the news article, the Home Minister Amit Shah calls for unified global effort to defeat drug menace. So here, what we are going to see in this news article is that he's talking about drug menace, and let's see the ethical concerns of this drug menace, drug addiction, right? Substance misuse. So, what are the ethical concerns of drug addiction? The first and foremost, it is violation of human dignity. Violation of human dignity is that if you are consuming these illegal substances, then this is going to impact your decision making authority. So, you cannot control your own thought process, you cannot control your own body. So, it reduces personal autonomy. So, I don't have control over my thoughts, I don't have control over my behavior, I don't have control over my social conduct. So, personal autonomy, and it is going to, there is no self control, so is directly going to violate the human dignity. Then the next ethical concern is youth vulnerability. Youth vulnerability is that there is a factor of exploitation, and this exploitation, this is going to, because see, you are in an adolescent age and you want to experiment things, and you start using, getting addicted to all these things, you can be easily exploited, your vulnerabilities can be easily exploited. And at social level, at the national level, at individual level also, this is going to be extremely damaging. So another ethical concern is the youth vulnerability, because there is a factor of exploitation. Then peer pressure and social influence for negative negative social influence here. Some other person is doing, and maybe you admire that person, or there is a peer pressure, you also influence and you also start doing this, and this is nothing but a manipulation, this is nothing but a bad influence. See, this another ethical concern of this drug addiction: social influence for a wrong reason, peer pressure for a wrong reason, right? Then comes mental health concerns. It leads to a depression, suicide, anxiety, social alienation. So here, the healthy environment, healthy social development can be questioned, can be curtailed with this regulation. So this will lead to the health concerns, health mental health concerns. Then another ethical concern is stigma and discrimination. Till now we talked about why is it bad, why drug addiction, what are the ethical concerns. Now we have to see it from a compassionate way. See, if a person is drug addict, legally, yes, this is wrong. These are all illegal substances and you are consuming illegal substances. This is fine. But from ethical perspective, person is addicted to it. So you don't have his own control. There is no personal autonomy on his own body. Now, what has to be the right way is that there should be a rehabilitation. There should be some support system where there should be a, the support system should guide this person. But in turn, what happens in our society, if society gets to know that this person is a drug addict, they try to stay away from that person. Rather than helping people maintain that distance, people think that we don't want to get into that. So kind of social stigma is there and discrimination is there. So rather than providing rehabilitation, we are socially isolating those individuals. These another ethical concerns need to be addressed very seriously. See, if there is a social support, if there is a support from a social circle, then it is easier to identify, easier to fight these drug menace. But is it happening in our country? It is not. So stigma and discrimination is another ethical concern. Then comes family breakdown. Family breakdown, if you look at the values, there is no there is no respect to the value of responsibility, there is no respect to the value of accountability and being responsive. So neglect of responsibility, and it will lead to the other social negatives like domestic violence, emotional trauma. On the whole, it will lead to the low emotional intelligence. So family breakdown due to the low emotional intelligence, due to the neglect of values like responsibility, accountability and responsiveness. So these are some of the ethical concern. And finally, crime and violence. This addiction, it will, when you don't have money, it will lead to again antisocial activities. It might lead to the theft, it might link to the human trafficking, it might lead to the organized crime. So there is a chain of events, there are sorry ripple effects. And again, this crime, this violence, this is another ethical concern we have with respect to drug addiction. So these are some of the ethical concerns of drug addiction. So this is a news article and we have connected with the ethical concerns. Now the news article is with ordinance, Supreme Court judge strength up from 32 to 37. Again, this is a polity based news article. But what we are going to do is we are going to focus from a GS4 perspective. From GS4 perspective, again, we are going to focus on ethical values in judiciary. Sorry, ethical values in judiciary. Again, applied ethics, where you can see, and also in the first unit, the application of values or deriving values out of the eminent personalities, eminent institutions, organizations. This is also in the syllabus. There also it comes in handy. So what are ethical values in judiciary? First and foremost is integrity. Integrity is being honest, being truthful, and integrity is you're honest even when nobody is watching. And this value is very much important for judiciary also. It is nothing but moral uprightness in judicial conduct, integrity. Then another most important value is being impartial and being objective. Impartial is that you are unbiased. Whatever decisions you are taking, there is no influence, there is total neutrality in your decision making, unbiased, there is no favoritism, there is no political influence in that. So that is impartiality. And objectivity is that whatever the decisions you make, that is based on certain uh, established norm. And what is the established norm here? It is the law. There is a law, there is a constitutional uh, uh, what do you say constitution morality is there, and judiciary is taking decision based on this law, based on this evidence, based on the constitutional morality. If I am a judge, I am not taking decision subjectively. If I believe that this person is wrong, I cannot give my judgment based on my individual belief system. I have to give my judgment based on the established law. I have to give my judgment based on the values of constitution. So objectivity is another important uh, ethical values needed in judiciary. Then comes accountability. Accountability is that, see, even politicians, they are accountable to somebody, bureaucrats, they are accountable to somebody, and here judges are also accountable. Whom exactly they are accountable to? Judges or judiciary, it is accountable to constitutional morality. They are answerable to constitutional principles. So accountability is another value we needed in judiciary. Then come transparency. Transparent, again, this has been a question mark in Indian judiciary, but still openness in the judicial procedures, openness in the judicial reasoning, it is also very much needed value in a judiciary. And then comes courage of conviction. Courage of conviction is that you stand to whatever you believe, and you should be in a position to deliver justice fearlessly. That is a courage, that is the fortitude the Indian judiciary should showcase on. So ability to deliver judgments fearlessly and confidentiality. See, Wherever it is necessary, you need to maintain the confidentiality. You should not make it as a media gossip. So that is also another important value of judiciary, because still case has started, maybe some celebrity has been, or some well-known politician is in the case, and if you don't maintain the confidentiality, maybe because of some social media, because of some misuse utilization of this information, they can manipulate the information, they can try to manipulate the public in general. So confidentiality, it is important at certain level, and it has to be maintained, it has to be respected. So another value is confidentiality. See, confidentiality does not mean that entire judiciary everything should be confidential. No, wherever it is required, wherever it is necessary, there you need to maintain confidentiality to that level. Of course, transparency, openness is important, but confidentiality is also another value. It has to be respected to a certain extent. And then compassion and humanism. So here there are certain vulnerable sections where compassion, humanism is very much needed. There are people, they don't have that enough resources to afford the service of a lawyer, or afford these the judiciary services. There, in so many cases, a court has shown this compassion and humanism. There is a concept of PIL, where you can file a litigation, or you can file some case on behalf of vulnerable section. These kind of various ways are already it's available, and this is another value, compassion and humanism. Then comes constitutional morality. This is a very much important value, because whatever your conducts are, it has to be under the ambit of constitutional values, constitutional principles, and constitutional morality. So protecting constitutional values and constitutional rights is another responsibility of the judiciary. So constitutional morality, this is another ethical value which is necessary for judiciary. I think this is it for the day, guys. We have finished 7 or 8 articles, and thank you so much for listening. I'll see you guys in the next video. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel. Have a